Marriage is supposed to be built on trust. On partnership. On love. At least, that's what I thought for the past 12 years with my wife, Emilia. We had a beautiful home, a comfortable life, and what I thought was a strong relationship. Sure, things weren't perfect, what marriage is. But I always believed we were in it together, until, little by little, things started to change. Emilia and I used to be inseparable, date nights, morning coffee together, inside jokes that only we understood. Then, over time, those moments started disappearing. She stopped waiting for me to eat dinner together. She'd stay up late, texting on her phone instead of watching TV with me. Whenever I tried to be affectionate, she'd pull away, claiming she was tired or not in the mood. At first, I told myself it was normal. Marriages go through phases. People get busy, stressed, distracted. But there was one thing I couldn't ignore. She stopped looking at me the same way, and I had no idea why. It was a Saturday afternoon when I noticed the first real warning sign that I was working from home, typing away on my laptop. When I glanced out the window and saw Emilia by the pool, she was laughing. Not just a regular laugh, the kind of laugh she hadn't had with me in years, and standing beside her, David, our gardener, tall, tan, always walking around with his shirt off, acting like he owned the damn place. That I had never given him much thought before. He came twice a week, did his job, and left. But now I was watching my wife playfully touch his arm while he said something that made her giggle like a teenager with a crush. My stomach twisted. I told myself it was nothing, she was just being friendly. I was overthinking, but that was the exact moment something inside me shifted, because even if nothing had happened yet, I could feel it coming. That I wanted to believe I was overthinking, that Emilia's flirty laugh with David was just a harmless interaction, that maybe I was being paranoid. But when your gut tells you something is wrong, it's usually right. And within a week, I found my first real proof that my wife was hiding something. Emilia had never been the type to be glued to her phone, but lately, she'd have it with her at all times. Even when she used to leave it lying around, she started tilting the screen away from me when texting, and worst of all, she never put it down, not even when we were in bed together. One night, I woke up around 1 a.m. and found her sitting up, phone screen glowing in the dark. "Can't sleep?" I asked, my voice groggy. She jumped a little, then turned to me with a too casual smile. "Yeah, just checking emails." At 1 in the morning, I didn't say anything. That I just watched as she quickly locked her phone and slipped under the covers. That I could feel her body tense up, and that's when I knew she was lying. That a few days later, something else happened. That I came home early from work, which Emilia wasn't expecting. As soon as I walked through the door, I noticed the scent, cologne, not mine. That I followed the smell into the kitchen, where Emilia was washing dishes, looking nervous. She glanced at me, forcing a smile. "You're home early." I nodded slowly. "Yeah." "Who was here?" Her smile faltered. "What?" "No one." I leaned against the counter, crossing my arms. "Then why does the house smell like a men's locker room?" She laughed, fake. Forced. "Oh. That must be from David. He was just here finishing up the lawn, and he probably walked through the house for a second." She said it too quickly, like she had the excuse ready, and suddenly, I couldn't shake the image of David in my house, alone with my wife, leaving his scent behind. That I tried to brush it off, tried to tell myself I was reading into things. But the very next morning, I found a men's t-shirt crumpled in the laundry room, and it wasn't mine. It smelled exactly like the cologne from yesterday. That I held it up, staring at it, my pulse pounding. That's when Emilia walked in, the second she saw what I was holding. Her face went pale, she hesitated before speaking. Just for a second, then, she forced a laugh. "Oh my God, where did you find that?" I kept my eyes on her. "You tell me." She grabbed the shirt from my hands, shaking her head. "This? It's just an old gym shirt of yours." I narrowed my eyes. "It's not mine." She paused. Then recovered fast. "Well, maybe it's David's. He probably left it here by accident when he changed his shirt after working outside." My stomach dropped. David had been changing shirts inside my house. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just paranoia, something was definitely going on, and I was going to find out the truth, after finding David's shirt in my laundry room, I knew I had two choices: confront Emilia immediately, demand answers, force her into a confession, play it smart, gather more proof so she couldn't lie her way out of it. I chose the second option, because if she was cheating, I wasn't going to give her the chance to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. I needed evidence, and it didn't take long to find. I had security cameras around the house mostly for safety, not because I ever thought I'd need to catch my wife in a lie, but now, I pulled up the past week's footage and started watching. It took less than 10 minutes to find something that made my stomach drop. David had been inside my house when I wasn't home, not just stepping in for a second. He had been walking freely through my kitchen, smiling, relaxed, like he owned the place. And then, I saw Emilia. She walked up to him, laughing, placing a hand on his chest, then, before the camera cut off, she kissed him. I froze. For a second, my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Emilia, my wife, my partner for over a decade, kissing another man in our home. In my home. I replayed the footage over and over. Each time, it made me feel sicker. It wasn't just a kiss. It was intimate, familiar, like it had happened before. And that's when I realized this wasn't a mistake, this was an affair, something that had been going on behind my back for who knows how long. And now, it was time to confront her. I didn't say anything that night. I needed to see how far she would go with her lies. So, I acted normal. At dinner, I looked her in the eye and asked casually, "Did David come by today?" She didn't even flinch, she shook her head. "No, not today." "Why?" That was it. I had my answer. She was still lying to my face, and tomorrow, she was going to regret it. The next morning, I woke up knowing exactly what I had to do. I had proof that I had her lies, and now, it was time for her world to come crashing down. I planned the confrontation carefully. If I accused her out of nowhere, she'd find a way to twist the story. No, I wanted to catch her in the lie one last time. So I waited until we were having breakfast together. I acted completely normal, took a sip of coffee, flipped through my phone. Then, as casually as possible, I asked, "So, what are you doing today?" Emilia barely looked up. "Not much. Running some errands, then probably cleaning up around the house." I nodded. "No plans with David?" She froze, just for a split second, then, she forced a small laugh. "David? No, why would I? He's just the gardener, Mike." There it was, another lie. I took a deep breath, put my coffee down, and looked her dead in the eyes. "Funny," I said, my voice calm. "Because I checked the security cameras." Her smile vanished. "What?" she asked, voice suddenly tight. I leaned back in my chair, watching her squirm. "I saw you," I continued, letting him into the house. Touching him. Kissing him. Her face went pale. For the first time, she had nothing to say. I folded my arms. "So, tell me again how David is just the gardener." She swallowed hard. Then, like clockwork, she switched into damage control mode. "Mike, please," she stammered. "I can explain," I cut her off. "Explain what?" "That you've been sneaking around with him while I'm at work?" Her eyes darted around the room, like she was searching for a way out. Then, she changed tactics. "It was just a moment of weakness," she said, her voice shaking. "I was lonely, and you've been so distant lately," and I slammed my hand on the table. "Don't blame me." She flinched. I shook my head, feeling disgusted. "You could have talked to me, Emilia. You could have told me if something was wrong." She blinked, eyes glistening with fake tears. I know, I messed up. But it was just a kiss, I swear." A kiss. I almost laughed. She was still lying. She had no idea that I had also checked the past month's footage, and what I saw, it was way more than just a kiss. I pulled out my phone and played the next clip. It was from a week ago, Emilia and David. In our bedroom. The audio wasn't clear, but I didn't need sound to know exactly what was happening. Emilia's face drained of color. She knew there was no talking her way out of this, and finally, she just sat there, silent, because she knew, she had lost. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked toward the door. She jumped up. "Where are you going?" I turned back, staring at the woman I had spent 12 years with, the woman who had looked me in the eyes and lied to me over and over. I don't know yet, I said. But when I figure it out, you won't be in it. Then, I walked out, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel trapped. That I felt free. That I walked out that door, but I knew this wasn't over, not yet. Emilia had spent months lying to my face, sneaking around in my own house, disrespecting everything we built together, and now, she was about to learn what it felt like to lose everything. That I didn't go far, just drove around for a while, trying to clear my head, but my phone? It wouldn't stop buzzing. Emilia, 6 missed calls. Emilia, new message, please. Mike, come home. We need to talk. Emilia, new message, I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything. She let another man touch her, kiss her, sleep in our bed. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice, and now that she was caught, she wanted to talk. I ignored every call, because I wasn't playing her games anymore. I stayed out for a few hours before heading home. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something that made my blood boil. David's truck was parked outside. I clenched the steering wheel. He had the audacity to show up here. I slammed the car door shut and stormed inside. And what did I see? David, standing in my living room. Emilia stood beside him, arms crossed, looking frustrated, like she was the victim in all this. Are you kidding me? I said, voice dangerously calm. David shifted uncomfortably, rubbing the back of his neck. Mike, man, I stepped closer. If the next words out of your mouth aren't, I'm sorry for screwing your wife, don't bother speaking. Silenced. He looked at Emilia. Like she was supposed to save him, she let out a dramatic sigh. Mike, stop being so dramatic. I asked him to come over so we could all talk like adults. I stared at her. She actually thought I was going to sit down and have a rational conversation with the man she was sleeping with. I laughed. You want to talk? I said, my voice like ice. Fine. Let's talk about how you disrespected our entire marriage. Let's talk about how you lied to my face while sneaking around with this idiot. David shifted. Look, man, we didn't mean to hurt you. I turned on him so fast he flinched. You didn't mean to hurt me? I said, taking a step forward. You walked into my house, into my bedroom, touched my wife, and you didn't mean to hurt me? David backed up. Look, man, I should go. Yeah, I said, you should. And then, without another word, I grabbed the front door and yanked it open. Get out. He hesitated for half a second. But the look on my face must have been enough, because he rushed past me and disappeared. Good. Point 1 snake down. Point 1 more to go. As soon as David was gone, Emilia turned on me. Oh, real mature, Mike, she snapped, throwing her hands up. You didn't even let us explain. I scoffed. Explain? What's left to explain, Emilia? I have video proof. I saw everything. She hesitated. Just for a second, then, she changed tactics. Mike, I told you it was a mistake, she said, stepping closer. I got caught up in something stupid, but I still love you. I don't want to lose you over this. I stared at her. She had no remorse. She wasn't sorry for cheating, she was sorry for getting caught. You don't want to lose me? I repeated. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you let another man into our bed. Her eyes flashed with anger. So that's it, she snapped. You're just going to throw away everything we built. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my rage in check. No, Emilia, I said. You already did that. And then, I walked past her, straight to our bedroom. To start packing my bags, because this marriage was over. Emilia thought she could cheat and get away with it. She thought I'd be too weak to leave, but she had no idea what was coming next, because I wasn't just walking away. I was making sure she regretted this for the rest of her life. I always thought when a marriage ended, it would be sad, painful, maybe even mutual. But after catching Emilia with David, there was nothing mutual about. This wasn't just a breakup, this was war, and I was about to make sure she lost everything. I didn't waste time. That same night, I grabbed a suitcase and started packing my things. Emilia stood in the doorway, arms crossed, her expression bouncing between anger and fake sadness. "Seriously, Mike? You're really just leaving?" I shoved another shirt into my bag. "What do you expect me to do, Emilia? Stay and pretend like I don't know you were screwing the gardener?" Her jaw clenched. "We can fix this." I actually laughed. She really thought this was something we could just talk through? "No, Emilia," I said, zipping up my bag. "The only thing getting fixed is my life without you in it." Her face twisted. "You don't have to be so cruel." I turned to her, my voice calm but firm. "You cheated on me. In my own house. And you think I'm the cruel one?" She opened her mouth, but for once, she had nothing to say. Good that I grabbed my keys, walked out the door, and didn't look back. The next morning, I met with John, my lawyer. That I wasn't just leaving Emilia, that I was making sure she had nothing left. Bank accounts. I transferred my money into a separate account, credit cards. Cancelled the house. Legally, it was mine before we got married. She had no claim to it. When John looked over the case, he smirked. "She really screwed herself with this one," he said. That I smirked back. "She has no idea what's coming." A few days later, I got a text. "Emilia, Mike, my debit card isn't working. What's going on?" I ignored it. 5 minutes later, "Emilia, did you cancel the credit card? I can't book my hair appointment." I ignored that too, and then, the angry call came. The second I answered, she was yelling, "Mike, what the hell? You locked me out of our accounts?" I kept my voice calm. "They're my accounts, Emilia. You lost access the moment you decided to cheat." She sputtered. "But, how am I supposed to pay for things?" I smirked. "Ask David." Silence, and then, she hung up, because she knew, she was screwed. A week later, she got the official divorce papers. She got nothing. No alimony. No part of the house, just a legal notice saying her old life was over. She called me one last time. This time, her voice was soft. "Mike, do we really have to do this?" I smiled. "We already did, Emilia. The moment you chose him over me." Then, I hung up, blocked her number, and just like that, she was out of my life. Emilia thought she could cheat and still win. Instead, she lost everything. And me, I was about to start a brand new life without her. For the first time in 12 years, I woke up without her. No lies. No tension. No wondering if my wife was sneaking around behind my back. Just peace. And let me tell you, peace is addictive. At first, it felt strange that I had spent years tiptoeing around Emilia's mood swings, her cold stares, her excuses. Now, no more arguments over nothing. No more pretending things were okay. No more cheating wife in my house. Instead of sitting around feeling sorry for myself, I did something better. I reclaimed my life. I went out with friends I hadn't seen in ages. I worked out every morning, no longer drained by her drama. I redesigned the house, getting rid of everything that reminded me of her. And the best part, I didn't miss her at all. But of course, Emilia wasn't done. A few weeks after the divorce papers were filed, I got a message from a random number. I already knew who it was. "Emilia, I know I messed up. I just want to talk." I stared at the screen, completely unbothered. Then, another message. "Emilia, I miss you, Mike. Can we just meet for coffee? One last time." One last time, I almost laughed. She had months to fix our marriage. Instead, she chose to sneak around with the gardener. Now that she was alone and struggling, she suddenly wanted to talk. I typed out a reply. "Me, you should call David." "Oh wait, you were just a fun distraction to him, weren't you?" Blocked. Just like that, Emilia was officially erased from my life. That night, I sat on my patio, looking up at the sky, and realized something. I felt happy, not because I got revenge, not because Emilia was miserable, but because I had finally let go. I wasn't thinking about her anymore. I wasn't wondering what she was doing. For the first time in years, my life was about me. And that was the real victory. Emilia thought she could cheat and get away with it. Now, she was alone, and me, I was just getting started, waking up alone in a house that used to feel suffocating. it was the best feeling in the world. No more second guessing. No more tension. No more wondering if my wife was lying to my face. Now, everything was mine again. The house. I got rid of every trace of Emilia. Her furniture, her decorations, even her favorite wine glasses gone. The routine. I filled my days with things she used to make me feel guilty for doing. I worked out, I went on trips, I reconnected with old friends. The peace, the silence that used to feel empty now felt like freedom. For the first time in years, I wasn't just existing, that I was actually living. One afternoon, I was grabbing coffee when I ran into one of Emilia's old friends, Sarah. She gave me a long look before saying, "You look different." I smirked. Different how? Like you actually slept well for once. I laughed. That's because I did. She hesitated. Then, lowering her voice, she asked, "So, have you heard about Emilia?" I sipped my coffee. Nope. And I don't care. Sarah gave a small, knowing smile. Well, let's just say, she's not doing so great. I raised an eyebrow. Sarah leaned in. Apparently, David ghosted her after she lost everything in the divorce. She's been trying to start fresh, but no one wants to be around her. Too much baggage. I let out a slow breath. Karma. She destroyed our marriage for a guy who never even wanted her long term. Now, she was alone, and honestly, I felt nothing. That night, I sat on my couch, thinking about everything for so long. I thought the pain of Emilia's betrayal would never go away, but now, I barely even thought about her. I wasn't angry, I wasn't sad, I wasn't bitter, I was just free. And the best revenge? I wasn't just moving on, I was moving up. Emilia's past was catching up to her, but me, I was just getting started. I thought Emilia was finally gone from my life, that she had accepted her loss, that she was moving on. But cheaters like Emilia? They don't just disappear, they only come back when they realize no one else wants them. And sure enough, she did exactly that. It was a Saturday afternoon. I had just finished a run, feeling better than ever, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. Hello? For a second, there was silence, then, a voice I hadn't heard in months. Mike, please don't hang up. Emilia. I closed my eyes, exhaling slowly. How did you get this number? She hesitated. I had to try. I don't know where else to go. I smirked. Not my problem. And I hung up, but something about the way she sounded desperate, lost, hollow told me this wasn't the last time she'd tried. I was right. 3 days later, I came home from work and froze, because sitting on my porch, Emilia, looking miserable, she stood as soon as she saw me, eyes red, hands clutching herself like she was barely holding it together. Mike, she whispered, I didn't know where else to go. I took a deep breath. What do you want, Emilia? She looked down. David left. He never wanted anything serious. And now, she trailed off, her voice breaking. I just stared at her. Was this supposed to make me feel bad? Because all I felt was satisfaction. You threw everything away for him, I said, shaking my head. And now you're here? Why? She swallowed hard. I miss you. I laughed. Actually laughed. No, you don't, I said. You miss stability. You miss comfort. You miss what I gave you. Her lips trembled. Mike, I cut her off. You miss what I was. But that guy? He's gone. And so are you. I stepped past her, unlocking my door. Please, she whispered. Just, give me one more chance. I turned, staring at the woman I once loved. The woman who betrayed me without hesitation. Then, I said the words I had been waiting to say. You already had a chance. You just didn't think you'd run out of them. And with that, I walked inside and shut the door in her face. Emilia thought she could crawl back. She thought I'd be weak enough to take her back, but she was wrong, because I wasn't just over her. I was better without her, and nothing, not even her regret, was going to change that. I thought shutting the door in Emilia's face would be the last chapter of this mess, that she'd finally get the message. disappear, and let me move on in peace. But cheaters like Emilia, they don't know when to quit, and she wasn't done humiliating herself yet. A week after I slammed the door on her, I was at work when I got an email from Emilia. I didn't open it right away, but when I did, the subject line told me everything I needed to know. One last chance. I rolled my eyes, already knowing what this was about, then I skimmed the email. Mike, I know you think I don't deserve it, but I just want a chance to talk. To explain. To show you that I've changed. Please, just meet me once. No pressure, no expectations. Just a conversation. I stared at the screen, not because I was considering it but because I was amazed at how delusional she still was. Did she really think a few words could erase months of lies, that talking would fix the fact that she chose David over me, that I'd ever see her as anything but a mistake? I clicked delete without responding. That was the only answer she was going to get. A few nights later, I was out with some friends, grabbing drinks at a bar. We were laughing, talking about anything but Emilia, when suddenly I saw her, sitting alone at a table near the back. She looked different, not in a way that made me miss her. In a way that made me realize how far she had fallen. Her hair wasn't done, she wasn't wearing her usual designer clothes, and worst of all, she looked miserable. Our eyes met for half a second, then she looked away. Like she was embarrassed. That's when it hit me that I didn't feel anger. Or sadness. Or even satisfaction. That I felt nothing, because Emilia, she wasn't a part of my story anymore. She was just a ghost. I thought that was the end. But Emilia wasn't done making a complete fool of herself, because soon, she was about to make one final mistake. One that would erase any last shred of dignity she had left. I thought seeing Emilia at the bar, alone and miserable, was rock bottom for her. I was wrong. Because when people like Emilia lose control, they don't just accept defeat, they self-destruct, and she was about to do just that. It was a Saturday night. I was at home, finally enjoying a quiet evening, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it ring, then it rang again, and again. Something told me to pick up, not because I cared, but because I needed to hear what desperate excuse she had this time. I answered. Hello? For a second, all I heard was heavy breathing, then slurred words. Mike, it's me, please don't hang up. Emilia, and she was drunk. I sighed. What do you want, Emilia? I just wanted to talk, she slurred. I miss you, okay? I know I ruined everything. I know you hate me. But I don't know what to do anymore. I shook my head. She was a mess. You should have thought about that before you cheated, Emilia, I said flatly. There was a pause. Then, a weak laugh. You don't get it, do you? She muttered. I thought David was the answer. I thought I wanted freedom, something new, but he never cared. He never wanted me. He used me. I didn't feel bad for her. I felt validated because now, she was finally realizing what she had thrown away. That's not my problem, I said, ready to end the call. But before I could hang up, she said something that stopped me cold. I don't want to be alone, Mike, she whispered. I don't think I can do this anymore. And for the first time in months, I hesitated. And no matter how much Emilia had hurt me, I wasn't the type to ignore a serious situation, and the way she sounded, it worried me. So, against my better judgment, I drove over to her new apartment. When I knocked, she opened the door immediately like she had been waiting. She was barefoot, wearing an oversized sweater, a half-empty wine bottle in her hand. Her eyes were red, her makeup smudged. She looked broken, but I wasn't here to fix her. Are you okay? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. She let out a bitter laugh. Do I look okay? I crossed my arms. You called me. I need to know if I should be worried or if this is just another game. She sighed, stepping back and motioning for me to come in. I hesitated, but then stepped inside. The place was a disaster, empty wine glasses. Clothes on the floor. The whole apartment felt lifeless. I sat on the couch, watching as she sank into the chair across from me, rubbing her temples. Mike. She started, looking up at me. Do you ever think about us? I exhaled. Not anymore. She swallowed hard. I do. Every single day. I stayed silent. I thought I wanted something else, she continued, staring at the floor. I thought David was exciting, different. But he left. And now, all I can think about is how I threw away the only person who ever really loved me. I let out a small chuckle. You didn't throw me away, Emilia, I said. You made a choice. And now? You get to live with it. She blinked fast, trying to hold back tears. I don't know who I am without you, she whispered. That I stood up. That's something you have to figure out on your own. And then, I walked out of her life, for good. That I thought this was the end of Emilia's games, that she'd finally accept reality and let me go. But Emilia wasn't done humiliating herself, because soon, she was going to do something that even I didn't see coming. Walking out of Emilia's apartment that night, I felt something I hadn't in a long time, closure. She was finally paying the price for what she did, and I wasn't there to catch her when she fell. For once, Emilia was truly alone. Or so I thought, because just when I believed she was finally out of my life, she pulled one last stunt, and this one, it was her most desperate move yet. One morning, I woke up to my phone blowing up, text after text from friends, coworkers, even my own family. I frowned, unlocking my phone to see what was going on. Then, I saw it. A long, dramatic post on Facebook from Emilia, and in it, she had written a full-blown sob story about how I had abandoned her, how I was a cold, heartless husband who pushed her into another man's arms. How she'd made a mistake, but was now trying to heal, even though Mike refuses to forgive me. How she was struggling emotionally, while I was out living my best life, not caring about the years we spent together. And the worst part, she made it seem like I was the villain, like she was the poor, heartbroken ex-wife who had been wronged. I clenched my jaw, scrolling through the comments. Half of them were sympathetic. Stay strong, girl. People change, and some never appreciate what they have. If he can't forgive you, he never really loved you. The other half, people who actually knew the truth. Didn't you cheat on him? Seems like he made the right choice. Wasn't living your best life exactly what you wanted when you ran off with David? This is embarrassing. Own up to your mistakes and move on. I let out a slow breath. I could have responded. I could have blasted her for the lying, manipulative mess she still was, but then, I realized something that I didn't need to. She was doing all the work for me. This wasn't a power move. It was desperation, and now, everyone could see it. I didn't say a single word. Didn't comment. Didn't text her. Didn't even acknowledge it, and that was what destroyed her the most, because over the next few days, the post started to backfire. More and more people started calling her out. Friends she hadn't spoken to in months, old coworkers who knew the truth, even her own family members, telling her to stop embarrassing herself. The comments shifted, sympathy turned into mockery, and suddenly, she did something that told me everything I needed to know. She deleted the post, like it had never happened, like she thought she could just erase the evidence of her own desperation, but she couldn't, because people remember. And now, her reputation, it was in the gutter where it belonged. That night, as I sat back on my couch, sipping a drink, I realized something. I had spent so much time waiting for this moment, for her to regret what she did, for her to feel the loss, but now that she did, I didn't feel any satisfaction. Because the truth was she wasn't my problem anymore, and that was the real victory. Emilia had finally lost everything, her reputation, her dignity. Me, I was finally looking forward, because now, I was about to start a brand new life. One that had nothing to do with her. For the first time in years, I wasn't defined by Emilia's betrayal. No more looking over my shoulder, waiting for another lie. No more checking my phone, expecting more drama. No more bitterness, no more anger. Just me, my future, and the life I was building. And the best part, I didn't just feel free. I felt better than ever. I had spent so much time cleaning Emilia out of my life physically, mentally, emotionally, that I hadn't realized what I wanted next. But now, I had a blank slate, new habits. I started running every morning, something I never did before because Emilia always complained I spent too much time on myself. New goals. I focused harder at work, finally chasing the promotions I had put off for our marriage. New mindset. I stopped seeing myself as the guy whose wife cheated on him and started seeing myself as someone who survived and came out stronger. That I wasn't just moving on, that I was leveling up. Something funny happens when you finally start feeling good about yourself. You realize that the world is full of possibilities. And in my case, that meant meeting new women, not because I was looking for a relationship. I wasn't, but for the first time in years, I actually noticed when women noticed me. The barista at the coffee shop who always smiled a little too long, the woman at the gym who struck up random conversations, the coworker who started sitting next to me at lunch. Before, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. Now, I finally saw what was in front of me, and more importantly, I knew my worth. One night, I was sitting alone on my balcony, staring at the stars, and I realized something, that I had spent so much time waiting for Emilia to regret losing me, for her to feel the pain I felt, for karma to do its job. But now, I didn't need revenge, because my life, my happiness, my success, my peace was the only proof I needed that she lost the best thing she ever had, and me, I had won, not because she suffered but because I no longer cared if she did. Emilia thought she was the best I'd ever have. She thought I'd never move on, but now, she was just a distant memory, and my future, it was just getting started. That I had spent months rebuilding myself, mentally, physically, emotionally. That I wasn't the same broken man Emilia had walked all over. That I was stronger, wiser, more in control of my life than ever before, and for the first time in years, I felt like I was actually living. But the real test would come when I saw Emilia one last time. That it happened when I least expected it. That I was out at a nice restaurant, grabbing dinner with a new group of friends. People who didn't know me as Mike, the guy whose wife cheated. Just Mike. That I was laughing, genuinely enjoying myself, when suddenly I felt a pair of eyes on me. That I turned, and there she was, Emilia, standing across the room, looking right at me. But this time, she wasn't confident, she wasn't smirking, she wasn't the woman who used to control me. She looked lost, like she didn't recognize the man sitting in front of her, because she didn't. She had no idea who I had become. That I should have ignored her, but when she walked up to my table, I could already predict what she was about to say. Mike, wow. You look good. I leaned back in my chair, nodding. I know. She gave a small, forced smile. Can we talk? I sighed, standing up and walking a few feet away from my table, not because I wanted to hear her out, but because I wanted to end this properly. Look, she started, twisting her fingers together nervously. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I know I messed up, and I know you probably hate me, but I held up a hand. Stop. She blinked. What? I smiled. You don't need to apologize, Emilia, I said. Because I don't need closure from you. She swallowed hard. I forgave you a long time ago, I continued. Not for you. For me. Because holding on to that anger? That was only stopping me from becoming the man I am now. Her lips parted slightly, like she didn't expect that. Mike, but I wasn't done. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for, I said. But I stopped looking for you a long time ago. Her eyes glistened. So, that's it? I smirked. It's been over for a long time, Emilia. You're just finally realizing it now. Then, I turned back to my table. My new life, and I never looked back. That was the moment I knew that I wasn't just over Emilia. That I was beyond her. She wasn't just my past, she was irrelevant. And me, I was finally stepping into the best version of myself. A version of me that never needed her. Emilia was gone for good, and now, I was stepping into a future that had nothing to do with her. Because I was free, Emilia was finally gone. No more lies. No more drama. No more looking back, for the first time in years. My life was mine again. That I didn't need to get even. That I didn't need to make her suffer, because the best revenge was moving on so completely that she became irrelevant. And now, that's exactly what she was, just a lesson. A mistake. A closed chapter. I wasn't the man she left behind. I was stronger, wiser, better, and my future, it was finally mine to build.